Hi everybody, it's Sam. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to do this, but I'm going to read you so many chapters, a chapter or two from The Night Room. Where was I? Joy should be back fairly soon. Barbara was sitting next to Tess in the waiting room. Most people are disoriented for a few minutes. Tess had brought a new photographer magazine with her. This was the third time that she had started the same article, and she still had no idea whether it considered concerned filters or light meters. She wanted to pace right out of the building into her car and drive home. I don't know about this, she said for the 10th time. Barbara gave her a reassuring smile. You don't have to do it. She gestured for Tess to lean closer. Was that guy hanging around again today? She asked in a low voice. What guy? Abruptly, Tess realized who she meant. Oh no. She was sorry she'd mentioned him, even to Barbara. On the weekend, someone had rung the doorbell of their house. She wouldn't have just opened the door, but Petey got there first. It had seemed straightforward enough, a wrong address, except that she'd seen him twice since then, at bus stops near school. She hadn't said anything either time, but she had no doubt that he recognized her. I'm sure it was just a coincidence. You could have an admirer, Sandra said from the next chair. That's happened to me several times. Sometimes boys need to work up courage before they say anything. Why, just the other day. Tess really didn't want to hear about Sandra's social life. She stood up. I'm going out for some air. Don't go far, Miss Ridley called. In the cold night air, her breath pumped out as though she were a frightened dragon. Tess had her car keys in her hand, but then she dropped them back into her pocket. No, she couldn't run away. She also wouldn't go into the night room. She retraced her steps. She was about to go into the waiting room when she spotted Karen heading down the side hallway with a paper cup in her hand. Excuse me, she called, staring after her. The young assistant appeared through the door. Tess looked around. Near the entrance to the night room was another door she had noticed when they were given the guided tour. Private was written on the outside in large letters. It stood slightly ajar. She moved closer. Inside the dimly lit, narrow room, she saw a woman with short, cropped silver hair sitting before a long control panel. Tess felt like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when she spied the wizard, paying no attention to that man behind the curtain. The woman was skimming the local newspaper, her eyeglass pushed forward on her nose. I forgot to mention what chapter I was reading. Chapter 3. I'm so sorry. Gotta focus a little bit more. Tess could hear her voice so softly that at first she wasn't sure where the sound came from. It was like nothing I expected. Joy was laughing. I mean, it was so... The woman paid no attention. A wooden cane rested against one side of the console. Beyond her, Tess could see into the night room itself. Joy looked wiped out and more than a little giggly. Abruptly, the woman noticed that her, Dr. Hallstrom, sat up straight, flipping a switch so the voices ceased altogether. Laying her eyeglasses to one side, she rose slowly. The door was open, Tess said. The door says private, does it not? The woman spoke with a harsh accent. Dr. Hallstrom, Tess took a step forward beyond the wall. Joy was trying to drink from the paper cup, her hands shaking. I'm Tess Norville, Tess said hurriedly. I'm with the group from Banting, and I wanted to say that I've changed my mind. I don't want to take my turn with Argus. It's not against the program, it's just she wanted to explain that she had been feeling apprehensive about taking part. If she was lucky, the scientists might have something to say about that, a comment she could use. Never mind. The woman turned back toward the console. Norville, she still standing. She punched a few buttons on the keyboard. You are removed. Now leave. Just like that, her short bark of laughter ended in a smoker's cough. Of course, just like that. There were 7 students for tonight. You were number 6. Now you are not. Did you expect a funeral oratorio each time a deletion is made? Young lady, I'm working. Someday you may understand about work. There was no someday about it. Tess understood about work now. I'm with the school paper, the Banner. I was wondering if I could make an appointment to interview you. Dr. Holstrom had already turned down her telephone request for an interview. Absolutely not. Now will you leave this office now, or I ring for the security guards now, young lady. She left quickly. As she came back into the waiting room, Barbara looked at her questioningly. Tess nodded and received a reassuring smile in return. The others were much as she had left them. Ira was doing homework, Sandra flipping through a woman's magazine from the pile. Mrs. Rudley sat behind a desk writing on a notebook. Graham was looking through the toy box in the corner. Only Mac was in motion, pacing the room. Did you get lost? He asked her. I dropped out. The word seemed foreign. The others looked up. I told Dr. Holstrom I didn't want to take part. Why? Ira asked flatly. She doesn't have to give an explanation, Miss Rudley said. That's all right, Tess said. The thing is that I know I'm going to be a reporter, so either Argus would tell me what I already know, or I'll end up arguing with the results. Someday I'd like to see something you didn't argue with, Ira said. Tess's heart sank. Was he still mad because she called him Ichabod? She had always thought that Ichabod Crane in the Disney cartoon was sort of cute. Chicken, Mac began to cluck softly. Tess scowled at him. I'm not a coward. To her surprise, he stopped. He glanced uneasily at the hallway, then back at her. No, you're not. I don't need permission from you, she snapped before she could stop herself. She turned toward Ira. Or you. Tess, Miss Rudley chided. Learn to stop while you're ahead. Ira seemed to be trying not to laugh. Then he winked at her. Ira actually winked at her. Let me see how long this chapter is. Oh, well. Not too much longer now. I'll probably just read one where I'm so tired. Okay. Tess had the kind of feeling in her stomach that she got when she rode an unfamiliar roller coaster. Do you have something in your eye? She asked him. The tall, thin boy leaned back and his chair creaked. He examined her. Learn to stop, he droned, when you're ahead. I'll remember that the next time I'm in a game. Mac's chuckle seemed forced. I'll tell Coach that Mrs. Rudley says to quit when I'm ahead. It's a new kind of strategy. The counselor's eyes were fixed on Tess's face. You spoke with Dr. Holstrom? Tess described the scientist. She has an office next to the night room. The door was open. I only talked to her for a minute. I asked her for an interview, but she said no. She had researched the reclusive scientist. At one time, Ursula Holstrom had been a champion skier. She had retired from competition after suffering severe injuries in an avalanche that killed her fiancé. Tess had also found out about Holstrom's parents. Both were noted in their fields, her mother as a psychiatrist and her father as a pioneer in computer research. Dr. Holstrom had combined both sides. When she began working on the Argus project in her mid-20s, she was now 54, although she looked older. She doesn't give many interviews, Miss Rudley said sympathetically. There are some really friendly types who are always ready to leap into your lap and lick your face. Dr. Holstrom is definitely not one of those. Joy came through the door, accompanied by Karen. Tess saw a few spots on her chest as though she spilled water on herself. So how was it? Mac demanded. Joy forced a smile. Good. It was good. I'm really tired, though. It gives you a lot to think about. She went to the coat rack, but she seemed to have difficulty remembering which coat was hers. Miss Rudley went up to her. You're not driving, are you? She shook her head. I'm going to call my mom. There's a payphone near the washrooms. Karen said, do you want to talk for a bit? Miss Rudley asked. Maybe at school later. Joy, Tess had opened her notebook to a blank page. The readers of the banner will be curious about. No comment. Joy cut her off in mid-sentence. Miss Rudley gave her a warning look. Test not now. Another time, Joy seemed to stand taller than usual as she wound her long scarf around her neck. We'll do lunch. The others traded glances as she left the room. Karen, Tess approached the assistant. I'm going on the school paper. I'd like to interview you about the Argus program. The young woman looked worried. I'll have to ask Dr. Hallstrom. Leave your card and I'll get back to you. Like high school students had business cards. Maybe she should get some printed out. T.E. Norville, reporter. I'm not carrying any cards today, but I can leave you my phone number or I'll call you. Karen wrote Tess's phone number on the clipboard she was holding, and scanned the top page. Okay, she said, raising her voice. I imagine you know that one person has decided not to take part in the project. I want to ask Sandra Wilcox if she wouldn't mind rescheduling to Monday afternoon. Sorry. Dr. Hallstrom is speaking at a conference this weekend and she needs additional time to prepare her presentation. She looked around. Sandra, Monday would be fine, Sandra said. Miss Rudley frowned. I may not be available on Monday. So you should stick around, Ira told Sandra. They didn't say that you can't handle your turn tonight. Honestly, don't think that Argus is likely to tell me anything upsetting, Mrs. Rudley. Sandra began gathering her books. You don't have to be there. McDonald caller, Karen called. Mac winced. Mac. He said, just call me Mac. McDonald caller. Okay, I didn't know that was his name. The camera just went off just because I kind of dropped the book. Sorry about that, but I didn't expect his name to be McDonald caller. That's funny. But whenever I have the time to do this again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, though, about I probably should have drunk something. I haven't decided. Wait, I don't think I have decided. I'd have to look at the video I made before this, because now I don't remember what book I had chosen after this. Maybe it was nothing. I think it was Twilight Hunger in this. Am I right? You guys got to tell me down in the video, because I have zip idea. I'd have to look at that video, so I don't know. So bye.